In my last life, I was with my girlfriend, Jessica Liu, for 10 years, and we barely even held hands more than a few times. She always told me she was saving the best of herself for me, for our wedding night. Turns out, on our wedding night, right after we'd both showered, her best guy friend, Chad Peterson, called. Said he needed to see her. Right now. Despite me begging her not to, Jessica just left. After a week of dead silence, it finally clicked. I called the cops, reported Jessica and Chad for marriage fraud. 3 months later, they came back together. She told me she was pregnant, 2 months along, and that it was mine. Something inside me just snapped. I walked into the kitchen, grabbed a knife, and I cut them both down. I figured I was doing them a favor, letting them be together forever. Of course, I got the death penalty for double homicide. Then I opened my eyes. It was my wedding night again. This time, I didn't wait 3 months. In fact, the second Jessica answered her phone, before she could even say she was leaving, I stabbed her. When I kicked open the door to their hotel room, Chad was fresh out of the shower, lying on the bed humming some stupid tune. I was carrying a large duffel bag. I unzipped it and dumped Jessica's body right on top of him. Chad's hair practically stood on end. I didn't even have time to ask him, "Why would you do this to me?" before he scrambled to the window, naked, and leaped from the 15th floor. This time, it was the hotel security that handed me over to the cops. It wasn't long before I was sentenced to death again. And again, I opened my eyes. This time, I didn't even go into our new apartment. I just turned around and left. I was the one showering when Jessica knocked on Chad's hotel room door. I had already packed Chad's things for him. I opened the door slowly, a towel wrapped around my waist. The look of pure shock on Jessica's face gave me a strange sense of calm. "What are you doing here?" Jessica's eyes were wide. I laughed, a cold, empty sound. "What? You're allowed to spend your wedding night with him, but I'm not allowed to help you two pack." A flicker of panic crossed her face. She seemed to realize something was terribly wrong. Just then, she noticed the bathroom door was ajar, the faint sound of running water coming from inside. Her eyes darted toward it. "Relax," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "He's not in there." Jessica spun around to bolt, but the door was already locked. "What the hell do you want?" she asked, her voice trembling. I walked toward her slowly, my eyes like chips of ice. "Can't find Chad? You want me to help you look?" She collapsed onto the edge of the bed. "What are you doing?" "There's nothing going on between me and Chad. You're overthinking this." "Overthinking it?" I sat down in a chair across from her. I figured today was the day we finally get everything out in the open. So let's hear it. Why'd you do it? That was the one thing I could never figure out. If she wanted to be with Chad, why drag me through all this? Jessica was still trying to spin her story. "You've misunderstood. We really are just friends. Spare me the script, okay?" I cut her off. "The only reason I'm even talking to you this time around is because I genuinely want to know the real reason." She burst into tears. "I'm sorry, I know I was wrong. Just please let me go." Seeing that she was never going to tell me, I realized this life was another dead end. "Forget it. I don't want to know anymore." I got dressed and walked straight to the door. My hand was on the knob when she suddenly shouted from behind me, "Kevin, wait. Where the hell is Chad?" I stopped, turned my head, and glanced at the suitcase by her feet. My eyes said it all. "He's in there." After that, Jessica went completely insane, and I was executed. Again. This time when I opened my eyes, I didn't feel the hate anymore. 3 strikes and you're out, right? This was the 4th go-around. No love, no hate. I was just tired, but I was still hung up on one thing. I still wanted to ask them, was it really that hard to just break up with me? Why do all this? Did I wrong you in a past life, or something? Was it absolutely necessary to make sure I was the one you cheated on? This wedding night, Chad's call never came. Jessica never left. I thought, after everything, that sleeping in the same bed with her would make my skin crawl. But honestly, my moral standards weren't that high. The next morning, I was surprised to see a small bloodstain on the sheets. "I'm sorry," I said, pulling out a debit card and tossing it on the bed. "Here's 10 grand. Get that. Procedure reversed. Chad will be thrilled to know." Jessica's face went ghost white. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she stubbornly refused to let them fall. This time, I told her, "Let's just go our separate ways. Are you trying to humiliate me? Are you leaving me?" Her voice was a mix of choke and a snarl. "You've been reborn too, haven't you?" I snapped, unable to watch her act anymore. So cut the crap. The fact she didn't leave last night told me everything. Why couldn't she just be honest? Go marry Chad. Why keep stringing me along? Jessica bit her lip, silent for a moment, then looked up, a new resolve in her eyes. "Honey, let's just make this work. Starting today, I'll have nothing to do with him. And you can stop thinking of me as some slut. I really didn't want to do this again. We're getting a divorce. Today, why do we have to get a divorce?" The shock on her face was genuine, as if the thought had never once occurred to her. But you're the one who ran off to be with your true love on our wedding night. Why shouldn't we? Her reaction made me curious, so I threw the question back at her. I don't want a woman who's in love with someone else. Not in this life, not in the last one, or the one before that. Her actions never showed an ounce of affection for me. Was me wanting a divorce really that surprising? Tears streamed down her face, her shoulders trembling. I was out of my mind before, she pleaded. But this time, none of that crazy stuff has even started. Can't we just pretend it never happened? I couldn't stand the phony act. I just sat there cold. Jessica, in 4 lifetimes, I've asked you the same question over and over, and you've never given me a straight answer. Why? I just want you to be honest with me. You know I can live without you, and you've got other options. If you don't love me, you can leave. Why did you have to marry me? I'll never understand why you two were so determined to cheat on me. This life, I really don't want to go through it all again. What if I told you I was possessed? She blurted out, lunging forward to hug me. I believe you, I said. Honestly, compared to any other excuse, possession was the most plausible. Her affair with Chad was just so bizarre, so sudden. It wasn't sneaky. It was brazen, like it was designed specifically to humiliate me. The intent was too strong. But why would they risk death just to humiliate some guy? So, can we start over? She asked, her eyes begging. I ignored her plea. When were you possessed? When we first started dating? On our wedding night, when you were about to leave for Chad? Or right now? My relentless questioning made her break down completely. Sobbing, she finally spoke. I'll tell you everything. Me and Chad. We had a daughter. A long time ago. Bullshit. I shot up from my seat. Even though I'd made my peace with this life, even accepting her ridiculous possession story, I couldn't handle her lying to my face. I pointed a shaking finger at the bloodstain on the sheets. Can you stop with the bullshit? What is that, then? Did you pee the bed? It was a procedure, she cried out. Hymenoplasty. Chad had the same idea you did. He said you were a straight arrow kind of guy, that you'd be happy to see it. I felt a wave of secondhand embarrassment. It was disturbingly ironic that Chad and I had the exact same thought. Maybe I had a hidden talent for being the clueless other guy. Wait, I cut her off. I remember perfectly. In the first life, you definitely went to him on our wedding night. Yes, but later he decided the $10,000 for the surgery was a waste of money. I was mortified, my face burning. I regretted ever asking why. This answer was just self-inflicted humiliation. I wanted to slap myself. 4 lives in, and I was still the same damn fool. So, I pieced it together through my disgust. Before you and I even started dating, you and Chad already had a kid. You wouldn't let me touch you because you were afraid I'd find out. Then, because you were marrying me, you had the surgery. But on our wedding night, he suddenly decided 10 grand was too much to spend. I recounted her twisted logic, holding my nose. Yes, it was all Chad. Yes, my ass. I exploded. Don't you dare act like you're innocent in all this. What did I ever do to deserve you two going to such insane lengths just to screw me over? He tells you to break it. You break it. He tells you to fix it. You fix it. Do you think you're just some cheap tramp to be passed around? You two psychos. You just get off on messing with people, don't you? Divorce. We're getting a divorce. You two want to be crazy. Go be crazy together, but leave me the hell out of it. I had actually thought she might tell me some profound truth. After all that buildup, this was what I got. I couldn't accept it. Jessica was still desperate. I won't get a divorce. Please, just give me one more chance. I let out a cold laugh, a dangerous glint in my eye. Jessica, have you forgotten how your last 3 lives ended? At my words, her body went rigid. Her face drained of all color, her eyes filled with terror. Looks like she remembered. Want me to refresh your memory? I continued coldly. In the first life. Stop. Don't say it. She shrieked, her face even paler. She collapsed to the floor, clutching her head and shaking violently. So, I leaned in and whispered next to her ear, feeling her flinch. Are you planning on dragging me into your little games from now on? I'm giving you 1 hour. I'll be at City Hall. If you're not there, I don't mind helping you get reborn one more time. Without waiting for an answer, I put on my jacket and headed for the door. Just as I was about to leave the apartment, she scrambled after me. Don't go, she cried in a panic. Why didn't stop? She screamed. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything. Oh, I turned, crossing my arms. Go on then. I'm listening. If there was any thread still connecting me to her, it was this. I had to know why. The reason we did this to you is because I'm sick, she finally stammered out after a long hesitation. When she saw me about to lose my temper again, she rushed on. I have a disease where, if I don't cheat on the person I love, I'll die. Seeing my expression, she quickly added, so the only reason I did it is because I love you. So I should thank you then. I laughed, but it was humorless. All I felt was a profound sense of the absurd. You're welcome. Are you serious right now? For God's sake. I couldn't believe it. After threatening her with the trauma of 3 lifetimes, she was still feeding me this garbage. It's true. Seeing that I didn't believe a word she was saying, Jessica started waving her hands frantically. Chad and I did all that because if we didn't, I would have died. And this disease. Did Chad tell you about it? Looking at how terrified she was, I realized she actually believed it. Chad had completely brainwashed her. Yes. She nodded vigorously. Chad said, he was just trying to help me. She wasn't sane. I suddenly felt my 3 lifetimes of revenge were a total waste. She actually believed this crap. All I wanted was to get the divorce and get away from these 2 lunatics. As I walked out, Jessica screamed after me. Kevin, I'm begging you, don't go. This is your destiny. If you don't accept this, if you walk out that door, you'll die. Ha ha ha. I wasn't angry anymore. She was genuinely hilarious. You 2 are fine, so why the hell would I die? And in that instant, I was on the first floor. It was so sudden. I'd fallen to my death, which was weird because my apartment door opens into a hallway. I opened my eyes. Wedding night again. The sun was already high in the sky when I finally rolled off of Jessica. There was blood on the sheets. I looked at her, curled up timidly at the edge of the bed. How about this? I began trying to reason with her. You had a kid with him a long time ago. You never let me touch you before our wedding night. By all accounts, you 2 are the real couple. I'm the third wheel. You still want to divorce me? It was impressive, really, how she could still put on a pained, reluctant expression. Her voice was hoarse from crying all night. I felt a pang of pity for her. I grabbed a robe and draped it over her shoulders. Look, I said gently, your disease just says you have to cheat on the one you love to stay alive. It doesn't matter if it's me or him, right? I patted my chest. Chad used to help you. From now on, you can count on me. So you'll. Jessica looked at me, uncertain. I'll be your best guy friend. I finally had the divorce papers in my hand. Jessica told me she still had feelings for me. The only reason she agreed to the divorce was because of what happened the day I walked out the door and fell to my death. The moment I died, she said she just exploded, like a kernel of popcorn. Her soul, along with Chad's, was instantly hung up in some kind of cosmic hellfire, roasted until every thought shriveled and trembled, every memory cracked and dried up. Their souls, she said, were like freshly dissected rabbits thrown into a vat of pure alcohol, screaming and struggling in the searing pain. You have no idea how much it hurts to be burned by that fire, she told me when we said goodbye. I'm too scared to keep you, and I'm too scared to let you go. I'm going to find Chad. We're chained together now. Hey, that's the spirit, I said. The next thing I knew, it was Jessica's wedding. Their 10-year-old daughter was the flower girl. As Jessica's best guy friend, her man of honor, I walked a trembling Jessica down the aisle, much to the bewilderment of all the guests, and placed her hand in Chad's. He was shaking just as badly, the 2 of them barely able to stand, propping each other up. As he reached for her, I grabbed both of their hands at once, making them jump. I patted their hands, smiled, and leaned in close between them, whispering my heartfelt blessing. Live well. The moment Chad heard my words, his body went stiff. A soft trickling sound followed as he wet his pants right there on the altar. After he was done, he gave one final, massive shudder. The guests fell into a dead silence, as if time itself had frozen. Soon, people started whispering, the murmurs growing louder. What on earth is going on? Why do the bride and groom look so terrified? Oh my God, the groom just peed himself. How embarrassing. This is just ridiculous. Is this a wedding or an execution? The bride's ex and her new husband are both on stage. I was expecting some drama, but not this. Yeah, this isn't exciting, it's just awkward. I can't watch. Can I get my $200 back from the wishing well? And oh, you can't. A loud voice boomed from above. A second later, a white-bearded old man dropped from the ceiling. The hotel ballroom had a pretty high ceiling. The old man landed with a splat and lay there, motionless. Looked like he was seriously hurt. The guests stared for a second, then erupted in screams, thinking the old man who fell from the sky was dead. A few women shrieked and covered their eyes. Somebody call 911. A man fell, one of the guests shouted. The hotel staff snapped into action, grabbing their walkie-talkies to call security and first responders. One of them rushed over to the shell-shocked Chad and started explaining frantically. That man is not affiliated with this hotel. Sir, on your big day, even if we were negligent, there's no way we'd have an old man hanging from the ceiling without noticing. Just then, the white-bearded old man slowly, groggily, sat up. He crossed his legs and started wailing. The gift money. You absolutely cannot refund the gift money. As the man of honor, I couldn't just stand by. I stepped forward to speak some sense into him. Hey, listen, old man. About refunding the gifts. The bride's got no problem with it. The groom's got no problem with it, and I'm the best guy friend, so it's got nothing to do with me. So what business is it of yours? The moment he saw me step up, the old man, still crying, launched himself at me, flailing his arms wildly in the air and yelling, "It's all your fault. It's all your fault." I was completely caught off guard and instinctively stumbled backward. The surrounding guests scattered, creating a wide circle around us. While dodging his clumsy attacks, I yelled, "Are you insane? I'm just the man of honor here. If you're looking for a payday, go after them." I pointed at Chad and Jessica, but the old man wasn't listening. He kept chasing me, relentless, muttering, "You've disrupted the cosmic order. I'll kill you." The cosmic order? The old guy was definitely crazy. All I did was try to be reasonable at a wedding. As the man of honor, what did I do wrong? Amidst the chaos, the hotel security guards finally arrived. Several large men quickly surrounded the old man. He was still struggling, pointing at me and shouting, "I am the cosmic order. You can't arrest me." It was him. He's the one who ruined everything. The guards didn't care what he was saying. Two of them grabbed him by the arms and tried to restrain him. The old man thrashed wildly, kicking his feet and crying even louder. "This isn't how it's supposed to be. How could this happen?" As they dragged him out, his screams grew more desperate. "The gift money can't be refunded. No refunds. No refunds. Absolutely no refunds." The old man's shrieks echoed through the ballroom, fading as the security guards dragged him away until they disappeared completely. An eerie silence fell over the room. Everyone was still processing the bizarre, surreal scene that had just unfolded. Jessica and Chad stood frozen on the stage, their faces still masks of terror and embarrassment. The guests started whispering again, their voices buzzing through the hall. "That old man was so weird. You think he escaped from a mental hospital? Seriously, what does our gift money have to do with him? You guys don't know? Jessica used to get around a lot. You don't think? No way. That old guy had to be at least 80. So what if he's 80? There was this one scientist." The gossip was getting more and more outlandish. I'm a person who takes my role seriously. When I was Jessica's boyfriend, I was fiercely protective. Now, as her man of honor, I felt it was my duty to step in and do some damage control. I took a deep breath, walked over to the side of the stage, and picked up the microphone. Clearing my throat, I raised my voice. "Could I have everyone's attention, please?" The sound carried across the ballroom, and the chatter slowly died down. All eyes were on me. "Today is a wonderful day for Jessica and Chad," I said with a smile, trying to sound as relaxed and sincere as possible. What just happened was definitely unexpected, and I know it was a shock for everyone. But let's just think of it as a little bit of unexpected entertainment. Please don't let it spoil the mood. Let's bring our focus back to the real stars of the show and make sure this wedding continues smoothly. As I spoke, I gave Jessica and Chad an encouraging look. They still looked like they'd seen a ghost, their expressions stiff. I looked at Chad, and a wild idea popped into my head. I hesitated for a second, then decided to just say it. "Chad," I said, turning to him, my expression a mix of seriousness and confusion. "I just had a thought. That old man, he wasn't your father, was he? I mean, at a wedding, the only people who care that much about the gift money are usually the bride, the groom, and maybe the groom's parents." My words sent a ripple of gasps through the crowd. Chad's face turned sheet white. He started trembling, his lips moving but no words coming out. After a long moment, he finally stammered, "Kev, don't say that. My dad's standing right down there." Following his timid gaze, my eyes widened. Holy crap. Standing in the front row was a middle-aged man, red-faced with humiliation, wearing a Father the Groom corsage. The man stared for a second, then grabbed the equally mortified woman next to him, who wore a Mother of the Groom corsage. Smack! He slapped her right across the face. The sound was like a bomb going off in the quiet room, and the entire ballroom erupted into chaos. "Brenda, you bitch!" the man roared. "Tell me, whose kid is he? Whose is he? I'll kill you!" she shrieked back. From the stage, Chad wailed, "Mom, which one is my real dad?" The guests, already on edge from the string of bizarre events, were now in a full-blown frenzy. "What is happening right now? Oh my God, this is amazing. Best $200 I ever spent." I stood on the stage, the microphone trembling in my hand. "Well," I muttered to myself, "looks like this wedding is officially over. I had to get out of there." Being the man of honor was clearly a high-risk job. Perspective: the white-bearded old man I am, a web novel author. And right now, I'm starving. I used to write epic fantasy novels. Nobody read them, but at least I wasn't starving. Then I saw how popular those trashy romance novels about cheating were, so I figured I'd switch genres. What if I struck gold? I'm a straight guy trying to write a novel for a female audience. I swear I did my research. It seems so much simpler than fantasy. Anyway, there's a formula. You just focus on 3 key modules. Module 1, a steamy opening, the trashier the better. Module 2, the endless, repetitive drama of catching the cheaters. Module 3, the finale, where they realize they love the main character after all and have to grovel. I dreamed of overnight success, of a life of fame and fortune. But I forgot one crucial detail. I'm a straight guy. My 3 main characters died in the opening chapter. Fine, I thought, I'll just make a reincarnation story. But then they died again, and the second time was even worse than the first. On the 3rd try, I skipped the steamy opening and went straight to the drama. But then I got stuck on the motivation. Why was Jessica cheating? I couldn't even convince myself, so how was I supposed to convince my readers? Forget it. I scrapped it and started over. I tried to force some emotional depth into it, but the whole thing started reading more like a horror novel. Then someone in the comments started demanding a refund. I lost it. You didn't even pay for the book. What kind of refund do you want? Right now, I just want my mom. Mom, I'm hungry.